I'm here.
That's awesome.
Second to order, and please note for the record that all commissioners are present, either in person or via the telephone. And so, and then who else do we have on the phone today? Oh, the phone's not on. Okay, never mind. So how will that work then with?
That's how we did last time too.
Okay.
They just watch. They don't participate
If you have,
unless they're part of the Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Anybody that's on the Zoom you can talk to, but you can't talk
Okay, so that's what I was asking, if anybody else is on.
the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Tom, did you put anybody else on the call today, on the Zoom meeting today?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Ms. Nelson, there are 26 participants, but they're either county department heads, or they are commissioners, or they are on the agenda to speak today.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering, is who was on the, if the individuals that are on the agenda are here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then just before we started, just a few things that, or, because we do have guests, is that if you have, if you are going to participate via the telephone, please identify yourself before speaking. And then also speak loudly, and then please don't use your speaker function on your telephone. It distorts the voices. And then when you're not talking, if you would please mute your phone again, that would be great. So much appreciated. Okay, so the first item on the agenda then is the approval of the minutes. And we have two sets of minutes. One is from May 19th, which is a regular county commission meeting, and one is a special commission meeting from May 20th. And that topic for that one was River City Speedway Smart Restart Proposal. So I'm going to ask for two motions, one for each set of minutes. And so for the May 19th, 2020 full commission meeting, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second, this is Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 19th, Grand Forks County Commission meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, and opposed? Oh, okay. Passed. Motion carried. Next item is the special commission meeting of May 20th. May I have a motion on that?
So moved, Tom.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second? Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All
This
right,
is
we have
Cindy.
a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Next item is the approval of the order of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda, things that we need to add or change? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the order of the agenda?
This is Cindy.
Thank you.
I'll
And-
second it. This is Cindy.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. And before you, you have bills, employee status changes, overtime, game of chance permit. Is there anything that you would like to have pulled for discussion? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second, Tom.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, opposed, motion carried. Next item is County Board of Equalization. Ms. Goditis, are you with us?
I am. Madam Chair, members of the commission, you do need to convene as the County Board of Equalization.
I'm sorry, what did she say?
You need to convene as the county
To
board of
convene as the County Board of
Equalization.
Equalization.
Okay,
So
so
could just recess and.
do I have a motion to recess the regular county commission meeting and open as the Board of Equalization?
I would make that motion. This is Cindy.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second, Dave.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Go ahead, Ms. Goditis.
Submitted for your information is a preliminary comparison of 2019 and 2020 taxable valuation.
Can you speak up?
Break it up.
Can you speak up, Amber?
Sure. Can you hear me better now?
Somewhat, yes.
So did you hear that I was submitting for your information as a preliminary comparison of the 2019 and 2020 taxable valuations and increases or decreases? The overall increase is about 2%. Do you have any questions on the spreadsheet?
Did you say it was 2%? The letter, I think, said 1%, did it not?
That's Eggland. We're talking the overall valuations went up about 2%.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So, you've heard the request?
This is just for your information. Do you have any questions?
Hearing none, I guess not.
Okay. There's no motion needed for that. The next information is just to recap on the agricultural land. Again, that did go up 1%, just for your information.
Okay.
The first order of business is the equalization of assessments in cities. I know there are a couple people here from Sterling Properties that if they would like to speak from Sterling Properties, they may go ahead.
Hi, this is Drew Thompson from Sterling Properties.
Can I ask that you please speak up, sir? Are you on a
Yep.
speaker?
No.
Okay, if you would speak up, that would be great.
Okay, Drew Thompson from Sterling Properties.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to thank Tammy and Amber for accommodating us at kind of the 11th hour in the past week, and we feel comfortable that they've heard our opinion to protest our values, and it's my understanding that we'll continue to work with those two individuals. I don't have any motions or anything to add.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from anyone?
I have a question, this is Dave.
Yes.
What's the status of that, building properties? Is it something we're gonna take a look at another time, or what?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we did not have enough time to adequately put together anything as we got the information on Friday. So
Okay,
we asked that we have another meeting on those 16 properties. And Paul Kodak from the city of Grand Forks, the city assessor, would like to add a couple words as well.
Thank you, Amber, and members of the commission. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes? Is this
Um,
Mr. Thompson?
For the record, this is Paul Hodak, Grand Forks City Assessor.
Thank you.
We received on Friday appeals from 16 developments that are owned by Sterling Properties. Some of the developments sit on multiple parcels. They view them as one property because they're an economic unit for them. But there's 16 developments on multiple parcels. In that short amount of time, we haven't had the opportunity to do enough review. I would like to delay the hearing on these Sterling properties that have been appealed, recognized in Amber's letter, until later. Maybe I would say we could have something ready by June 23rd, which would still give Amber time to get her work done by the end of the month. It needs to go into the state. So I'm asking if we could have a little more time on those appeals so that we could do a more thorough review and bring staff reports to the commission.
Okay. Amber, did you have any further comment?
No, that is what we'd like to do with those 16 properties from Sterling. But if there are any other people present or on the phone that would like to talk about their property values in a city, now is the time to speak for them.
Is there anyone on the phone that would like, from the city, that would like to speak to property values? Hearing none. Commissioners, did you have any further questions of anyone? So the recommendation then is that the 2020 assessments of all the cities and classes of property be put on hold until the June 23rd.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I would ask that the 2020 assessments of all the cities and classes of property, except for the Sterling properties, which entail 16 properties, be approved as returned by the city boards of equalization.
All right.
Of the cities except for those 16 properties.
Okay, so commissioners, you've heard the request. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion?
I'll move approval of all the properties other than the 16 that are on appeal today.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second, Tom.
Okay, we have a motion then and a second to approve the 2020 assessments of all cities and classes, excluding the Sterling properties until June 23rd, 2020 commission meeting.
Madam Chair, there isn't actually a meeting unless you want to call a special commission meeting on June 23rd.
When's the next commission meeting?
It's before that.
On the
They won't be ready.
16th.
They won't be ready.
16th, yeah.
Okay.
So, you could make that motion and then discuss when you're going to have your special commission meeting and make a motion for that.
Okay. So may I have a motion then?
We have a motion and a second.
And a second, right? So any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And so, okay, and then the second one we don't have, okay. So it would just be, so for further discussion then, is there a motion from any of the commissioners as to whether or not you want us to call a special meeting and when that might happen?
Madam Chair, this is Tom. I guess my question of Amber is when could, I have no problem with a special meeting. It might be quicker and easier to handle it that way rather than delay on our general meeting. But when is Amber confident that she would have it together or all this material together for us?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Falk, the 23rd is a good day for everybody, for Paul, Tommy, and myself.
Okay, Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we have a special meeting, relative to the, tax valuations on the, 16 properties in question on, June 23rd. Do we want it at 4 o'clock, let's say?
It doesn't necessarily need to be at 4. It could be an earlier time.
And
Okay.
if it's 16 properties, it might be good to go earlier.
How about, would 2 o'clock work for everybody?
That's for me. Everybody else, 2 o'clock?
That'll work for us.
All right, then my motion would be the 23rd at 2 o'clock.
All right, and so do we have a second?
This is Cindy. I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, then we will, all in favor for a meeting on June 23rd at 2 o'clock, special meeting to review Sterling Properties assessments, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
The second order of business is the equalization of assessments in townships. Is there anybody from a township that would like to speak now? Okay, then Avon and Strabane townships did not have a quorum at their township equalization meeting. Therefore, the County Board of Equalization needs to approve their 2020 assessment. I would just need a motion for those 2 townships.
Okay, you've heard the request.
This is Cindy. I would so move to approve the equalization or the township appraisals in Avon and Strabane County or Township.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Dave.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve 2020 assessments for Avon and Strabane Townships. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
In the event there are no appeals from property owners or others from any township, it is recommended that the 2020 assessments of all other townships and classes of property be approved as returned by the Township Boards of Equalization.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Tom.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, that's all we have.
Thank you, Ms. Goditis. May I have a motion then to adjourn the County Board of Equalization and reconvene as Grand Forks County
So moved.
Commission? We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion. This is Cindy.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion opposed, motion carried. All right, the next item then on the agenda is NDSU extension. Who do we have with us today?
This is Caitlin Hain.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to all of the members of the Commission. So the reason that we are on the agenda today is that we are asking to allow commercial pesticide applicator candidates into the county office building by appointment only. And so we have laid out a couple of documents for procedures, both on how to handle it from the office and then also those making the appointment, how to proceed in coming into the building. And so I've attached both of those to my memo for your review. And these have also been reviewed by the emergency manager and the public health department. And so the reason we need to offer these commercial applicators back into the county office building is because they have lapsed being able to test down in Fargo, which is what was allowed through the beginning of all of this COVID-19 stuff. And so I guess what I'm requesting is that the Grand Forks County Commission allow individuals to enter the county office building and the extension office starting immediately as an essential service to complete commercial pesticide applicator exam, following the guidance laid out in the document provided. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Caitlin?
This is Dave. I didn't see the documents. All I saw was the letter in the packet, the email.
Sure. Madam Chair, Commissioner Engen, I think I must have missed it and did not see those documents scanned in, because I can see from the email that she sent me, it did have attachments and I did not get those scanned, and so I'm sorry about that.
And I have copies of this scan. This isn't copies of the scanned document? Nope. Oh.
I think we can probably trust that they're appropriate, but I just haven't seen them. So, if you can explain them, or if there's any other questions people have, fine. Otherwise, I'm okay.
So,
Do you want me to explain them at all, or?
can you speak up, Caitlin? I'm sorry, we're having a hard time to hear you.
I'm sorry. Did you need me to explain the documents a little bit?
If you would, please.
Okay. So there's two documents that I had attached. The first one was COVID-19 infection prevention for North Dakota commercial pesticide applicator exam. And that document laid out procedures for an individual who would be coming into the building to take a test. And we laid out in the document that this would be by appointment only one individual at a time. Nessa Halverson, the support staff in the office, is the one who would be administering these exams. So we have laid out that they will need to be wearing their masks the entire time that they are in the building. And then some procedures that they would do before they arrive, when they arrive, and after they are finished. Most of it is just related to sanitation, washing hands, how to handle papers that are, exchanged between more than one person, ringing a doorbell before entering the building, or our office, and maintaining that 6-foot distance. Then the other document is infection prevention for our office, and that is, again, more information related to sanitation procedures, keeping that distance, setting up appointments beforehand, making sure that papers are ready for individuals. We have one office that we have designated just for testers only, and so that office will just be for any commercial applicators, and then we will sanitize it in between, and how to handle lunch breaks and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of what the documents lay out. It's just kind of a procedure on how to handle just being cautious with people coming in and out of the building.
Thank you for the explanation. As you know, the building's closed to the public, and so is there any way that when you are signing people up for this, that they could call you when they have reached the county building, and then you meet them at the door? And the reason I say that is that we have Northeast Human Service people staffing that door. It's locked, but it's basically for their staff or their clientele. And so if it would work for you folks to have your individuals that are coming in for the testing to call when they have arrived, and then you could meet them at the door, and then that way we aren't putting any extra work on the Northeast Human Service staff.
Yeah, if that's required, we can probably arrange for that to happen and just have them call when they reach the building, and then we will go down and let somebody in so that Northeast doesn't have to deal with that.
Do any of the other commissioners have thoughts on that?
No, they would monitor them when they're in the building then?
Yes,
Okay.
because they would,
Yeah, I mean, they'll let them in.
extension staff will let them in.
Yeah.
We'll meet them at the door, bring them up to their office, and then escort them out again.
Okay.
And,
Yep.
but that's not to say that you couldn't do, the testing with the temperature and things like that. I mean, we would appreciate if you were doing that as well. Kari, are you on the phone?
I am Commissioner Knopf.
So your thoughts on the testing, is that, I guess your thoughts?
I think that would be up to Northeast if they would be willing to do it. I believe they're screening everyone that comes in the building anyway.
Yes, they are.
So what Caitlin or a member of her staff could do is meet them there, have them go through the screening, and then escort them up to the extension office where they can take their test.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions of Caitlin? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I would so move approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve allowing the commercial applicators into the building for their testing. And for the discussion that we just had here, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
All right, take care. Next order of business is public health. Who do we have on from public health?
Commissioner Knopf, this is Kari.
Yes, Kari.
I'm masquerading as public health today because Debbie Swanson couldn't be here. I know she sent you her presentation,
Yes.
so I would just stand ready to answer any questions I can, if you have any.
Commissioners, if you have an opportunity to look at the handout that Ms. Swanson sent us. Any questions on that?
Well, just a quick question. What pages are those, 59 to 65?
Yes, correct.
I guess, the documents that I saw stopped at 58, so that's okay.
Oh, so you can't see it because I wasn't given it till yesterday, and so hers are never in your original packet, but it's showing up on my screen. So you don't have it unless she emailed it to you. Did she? She typically emails it, I think.
She must have, because I have it.
got it,
You've got it because I've got it.
Yeah.
We made a copy for you.
Okay.
but it was on my computer.
I've seen most of these things every day. I didn't know it was just that was the exact one.
Yeah, she
She sent it
waits
out.
and gets the most recent information, and therefore she doesn't
Right.
get it to me timely to get it scanned in for the meeting. Usually I get it Tuesday, but she did it Monday this time.
Okay, thanks.
So commissioners, any questions for Kari? Okay, hearing none, we will then accept that as information shared, and please know let Ms. Swanson know that we appreciate that. And so Kari, you are next as emergency manager. What do you have for us?
I am, ma'am. Thank you, and good afternoon, commissioners. I have a couple of things. I'm going to start with county business. As you know, the Emergency Management Office does have a part-time employee. We hired Gannon on after he interned with us for a couple. He currently works 19 hours a week, but he is off from school for the summer. So due to COVID, we are behind on a lot of our planning initiatives, plan reviews, finishing our COOP planning, our VOC implementation, severe storm sheltering, all of that stuff. But what I would like to ask the commission is for $3,500 to fund an increase in his hours for the summer. He would still be considered part-time. And Michelle, I have consulted with Michelle and Debbie about this. It would go probably till probably the middle of August when he goes back to school. But I'm hoping that with increasing those hours, we'll be able to get caught up a little bit on some of these things that have kind of fallen to my side. I do not have $3,500 in my budget at this time, which is why I am asking all of you to approve a budget increase. And Debbie will have to speak to where that's coming from.
Okay, thank you. And Gannon's been here at the county building also working on election stuff, and so we truly appreciate that. So Ms. Nelson, do you have any comments on funding and where this might come from if it were approved?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the $3,500 would come from cash carry forward, and we need a budget amendment for the emergency management budget.
And so, Kari, is the city pay half of this?
Ma'am, no, I don't believe the city will. Their budget is already set, as is ours. However, they are experiencing some significant budgetary shortfalls right now. So I was sort of told no.
All right, thank you. Just had to ask. Commissioners, do you have comments or questions for Kari?
Madam Chair, this is Tom. I've got a motion to approve the request by Kari and that we take the money out of cash forward and amend Kari's budget appropriately.
I would second that motion. This is Cindy.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second to approve the $3,500 and to amend 30, what did you say?
Yeah. Well, before we vote, I had a question of Mr. Ford. Would any of this money be recoverable under the COVID money?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Falcon, no, I do not believe so.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? So we have a motion then to approve and a motion and a second, right? And so no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Excuse me.
Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate that very much. My other business has to do with 3 different plans that were submitted on behalf of 3 different organizations that use the fairgrounds or events during the summer. I believe I had to email those plans to you also because I, like others, were late in hearing the information finalized. So 2 of the plans, one of them is the Grand Forks Fair Board Jackpot Barrel Racing, and the other is the Red River Valley Horse Show Association. Those plans are virtually the same because they use the same facilities and the same arenas, they just do it on different dates. If you have questions about those 2 plans, I have Pam Maverick and Lon Kathbarger on the phone, I believe. They're the subject matter experts. I did go out to the fairgrounds. They gave me quite a comprehensive tour. Obviously, this is not a high contact sport. There's generally only 1 rider in the arena for each of those events. The announcers and the scorekeepers, so the distancing piece is easy. They don't get a lot of public traffic. The sanitation of high touch and porta potties will be done. There won't be bleachers, so people will be sitting in their own lawn chairs. And anybody that has to consult, with a scorekeeper or an arena judge. So if they're within 6 feet for more than 10 minutes, then they would be matched. That's basically a quick summary of the plan. If Lon or Pam are on the phone, if you have anything to add, now would be the time.
Pam, you have anything for us? Is Pam on the phone? Lon, do you have anything for us, Mr. Kasager? Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I've
sir.
got a question of Kari.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
These 2 events are relatively small attendance, are they not?
Oh, they're very small attendance. It's mostly just the people that own the horses. They don't get any public that come in and watch the shows unless they happen to be passing by.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
You bet.
Madam Chair, this is
Hi,
Dave.
Dave.
Yes, Dave?
One of them did say something like, there was a small number. When we did all of the kart racing. But with these, I see that in they're good plans. It looks suspiciously like what Kari has put together before. So,
Imagine that.
yeah, imagine that. But one of the things says that they should be bringing masks, bring their own mask. It doesn't say anything about must wear a mask. The staff, it says will, but what's the situation with the need for masks on anyone else who's sitting around, watching these events? Is it not necessary in this venue?
Well, the ones that would be watching would likely be family members, and that's why when they register for these events, they are going to be asked to bring personal masks. But because they are family members, that's why it wasn't made mandatory.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, so what are the wishes of the commission?
This is Cindy. I would move approval of the motion for them to have their functions.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I'll set, okay.
Motion and a second to approve the Smart Restart proposals that have been submitted for the barrel racing and for the Red River Valley Horse Show Association. Any further discussion on that?
I would just let you know, Madam Chair and members of the commission, that I will be attending a couple of horse shows once they get this up and rolling, to just make sure that everything is flowing the way that it looks like it will on paper. And I would certainly report back after that.
Thank you. Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and my final plan for submission to the commission was put forth by Forks Karting. I believe Mike Withrow is on the phone with us. Again, this plan has the same template, the same format. Mike did say, however, that the carts get a little bit more public interest than do the horse shows, but he does not believe that he's had more than 200 or 250 in the stands at any one time. Mike, if you're on the phone, I'm going to let you speak to that plan.
Welcome, Mike. Are you on the phone?
Madam Chair, they might be muted, so just a reminder, if you're speaking, to unmute.
Mike, are you on the phone? And if you are, please unmute.
I'm unmuted.
Sorry?
Mike, was that you?
Yes, this is Mike Withrow.
We can hear you now.
Do you have any comments for us?
Well, as Kari spoke to, we very rarely would have over 250 people in attendance, and that includes the racing teams.
Okay, any other questions or just from the commissioners?
Chair, this is Dave.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's a big deal at 250 or not, but the plan says the races and fans will be limited to 250 people. Is that simply an estimate then, or what the highest number they might ever expect? Is that 250?
This is Mike again. I would say anywhere between 300 would be the very maximum. We've never had more than that there. I would say we've never had more than 250 there.
Thank you.
Any other
Go ahead,
questions?
Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
This is Dave. I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the Smart Restart Plan for Forks Karting Association. Do we have a second?
This is Cindy. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and a third. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, anything else for us, Kari?
Well, as with the other plans, I will attend the first go-karting event and check and see if we have any choke points or safety issues.
Okay, thank you very
something
much.
that we discussed.
Okay. And then,
Madam Chair, I think the next item is for you.
yes, I was just gonna say, is River Cities on the telephone?
Brad and Darren are here.
Okay, welcome. So, loud and clear. So what do you have for us today?
What does River Cities have, or Kari, or?
You, River Cities.
Oh, I mean, so I can tell you that we opened a couple weeks ago with Test and Tune. And last week we had an abbreviated race program with a tolerance of 500. Number was just a shade over 400 and some that came. Place looked empty. We believe that we've earned our stripes. Kari can potentially talk if she so chooses to how we've handled things out there, and we're looking for an increased capacity so that we can run our Premier Racing Series, which is what we're typically used to. We know that there are other tracks in and around the state of North Dakota that are now being allowed to open, and we emailed at 50% capacity. One grandstand, as I understand it, in the Mandan area is 3,500 capacity. And then the state fair in Minot, North Dakota, there's actually 11,000 seats there, 50%, and they actually opened on Sunday and they had 1,500 people in. Obviously that's ran by the State Fair Association. And the Mandan Speedway, Dakota Speedway, is ran by Park Board. So it is our hope that we could open, to a third capacity of River Speedway would give us 2,000 people in the stands, utilizing, the guidelines that we've been following in terms of traffic patterns and distancing and so on and so forth. So I think things have gone very well, and we'd certainly appreciate the opportunity to be able to increase the capacity so we can do what we typically do on tonight.
So what are you looking at for capacity, Darren?
If there's a third of the grandstand would be 2,000, Diane.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and so when we talked the last time, when we increased it from 250 to 500, we were talking about the risk levels, okay? And so at that point, the state was at the moderate risk level, which was 250 was the max, okay? And because Grand Forks was doing fairly well, I think the commission chose to go because we were very close. We were right on the border numbers wise. And so the commission chose to go with the low risk at that time. So we were in the green. And so that's what allowed us then to make the decision on the 500 max. And so I think the 250 was for your first test run, and then the 500 is kind of what we were looking for. We're looking towards going forward. And I know the governor now has come out with new orders, I think on May 22nd, and based on risk levels. And so what he's done is he's put the state, now he's dropped the state from the moderate risk to the low risk. And again, the guidelines there say 500 max, which is what we had gone with the week before. And so I just wanted to put that out there because we were following the guidelines, and the guidelines are still something that I'm assuming, I can't speak for the full commission by any means, but that we would be looking at. And so it would be up to the full commission if we chose to go further than that. Commissioners, do you have any comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I believe when the governor went to 500, he was talking about indoor venues. And again, the governor didn't have any comment for outdoor venues. And this is an outdoor venue. So that's something that I think needs to be considered since we're looking at capping a number, but this is not an indoor venue. And I do have a question. My question is, are there going to be concessions or alcohol served in these next coming events?
Yeah, we would have our concessions open, yes.
Okay. And you've dealt with sanitation and that's part of your plan, correct, for COVID-19, the 6 feet, standing away,
yes.
Stuff like that? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam
Chair.
Yes, sir.
You know, I appreciate the information on the other tracks, but this afternoon before the meeting, I happened to look, and you know, the whole state of North Dakota is not the same. And Ramsey County, which is Devils Lake, has 8 cases. Stutzman, which is Jamestown, has 24. Ward, where they're talking about the fairgrounds, has 37. Mandan has had 59. We've had 336. So we're anywhere from 6 to 10 times the number of cases that those communities have had. So that, to me, that's troubling. That's, you know, we're lower than Fargo, but Fargo's population is substantially greater than ours. But I have a problem with large crowds. You know, that's clearly a major factor in the spread of this virus. In fact, I just was watching the national news where they think there might be spikes because of the protests, even though the protesters are all wearing masks, which I'm not sure is to stop COVID-19, but at least they are. But, you know, this virus feeds on crowds. And if we go to a large number, I'm troubled by how we're going, and I would ask anybody that's supporting a large number, how we're going to track and trace if we start having an outbreak. And that has to be done. And public health is pretty much stretched to their max right now.
Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you, Tom.
One of the things that I do want to stress, though, is in the past few days, we haven't seen the numbers go up for the past, well, I think we had 3 cases yesterday, and over the weekend, we had 0. So as long as I think individuals are wearing masks, I'm going to, I'd like to make a motion. I don't feel quite comfortable with the 2,000 at this point, but I would like to move that we could probably handle 1,200 individuals attending their speedway with the 5 grandstands, with social distancing, making sure that individuals are wearing masks and that the restrooms and the concession areas stay clean. I would move that we go to 1,200 at these speedways.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, so we have Cindy and Bob to raise that number to 1,200. How about discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'm a little troubled on Commissioner Peach's talk on the testing because the testing is great. I love testing. I was at a presentation to the EDC where a businessman has been testing. It's incredible what he's been able to do through it. But I think the testing is a little bit misleading because the vast majority of those tests right now are being run in Cass County. So, and I'm glad our numbers are low, but I'd like to see them stay low for another month before we start making rash decisions on getting a large number of people together again. And my decision wouldn't be based, whether it's racing, it would be, if this were UNB football wanting to start right now, I would have the very same concerns. Thank you.
Okay. Any other
Madam Chair?
comments? Yes, sir.
This is Dave.
Yes, Dave?
I was not expecting a request for 2,000. For some reason, there was an email from Bob Mullen that you responded to, and he's with Mullen Motorsports, and he mentioned in there that he understood that the proposal was for 900 fans. I mean, that's what we talked about earlier, and I guess I did not understand that the Speedway would be requesting 2,000 today. I was expecting a request for 900. So I think we can handle 900, maybe it's 1,200, but I wish we'd had a concrete proposal or request for a number prior to starting this meeting today.
We were under the impression that, I guess, we didn't know what to request based on what other areas are doing in the state of North Dakota, and it being a fluid situation from day one when we started developing the plan with Kari's help, and been obviously instrumental in that plan being shared with other organizations. We're happy that has been the case. 1,200 in the grandstand would allow us the flexibility to do what we typically do. And so if there's at all a chance that, 1,200 Commissioner Peaches, it's a fluid situation, so that, the numbers can change. I mean, obviously the governor's position is changing because the situation is fluid. And based on, how things have gone with Test and Tune and our first night of racing, if that in fact, we should be allowed to open up and operate accordingly. I walked into our urinals on Friday night to use the facility and noticed that there was garbage bags over urinals in the men's bathroom, and Darren thought, oh my gosh, we got 5 or 6 urinals to fix this year. Well, in fact, our maintenance guy, very thoughtful in the whole process, actually covered them up for social distancing. I mean, so the little things are being covered well. And we're, you guys just approved go-karting for a max of 300 with, not nearly the kind of footprint that the racetrack or the big track typically deals with each and every Friday night. The pit area is about 4 football fields in capacity, and the grandstands are 6,200. So I would hope for consideration at 1,200 in the grandstand. That's some clarification, Commissioner Engen.
Believe me, I appreciate the plan that Kari helped you guys put together. I think it's a good plan. And I appreciate your patience. I know it's tough to not race with bigger numbers, but we were faced with the specter of potential problems a couple of weeks ago that thankfully have not completely developed. I do agree with Commissioner Falk that large groups are not our friend in this situation. I live in Northwood and nothing's happening out here with COVID-19, but people think it's impossible to get here. Well, you can get here from Grand Forks, you can get here from Fargo, 90 miles away, and it can take off. So I'm very concerned about it. I guess I'm not completely against the numbers proposed by Commissioner Peach. I'd like to hear other thoughts if there are some.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I did ask Kari for some information on it because I'm a big fan of testing. And the testing right now that's going on in our county is pretty much limited to the long care treatment facilities. There is no public testing going on. So those numbers can be a little misleading. And the biggest problem I see, and nobody wants to address the elephant in the room, but about 30 to 35% of the people that have this virus are atypical. They don't show symptoms. And so that's a very concerning issue for me. I know everybody wants to race and everybody wants to have fun, but you know, we have to think about, you know, your neighbors, people that might be affected by this disease, and the people that I'm concerned about are medical people who have to treat everyone for it, because those people suffer greatly, and they are a large number of cases that are, or I shouldn't say a large number, a significant number of cases that occur are medical people. And so they put their lives on the line when we make decisions which might increase this virus. So, thank you.
Any other discussion? Darren, I just have some comments because I've been watching the videos and things like that, and it concerns me because I see people that don't have masks, and your plan says everybody has to wear a mask. And that's what we agreed to. But I've seen the videos with people in the, I think you call it the bullpen in the middle of the racetrack that aren't wearing masks. I've seen pictures which can be a little fuzzy. So one could not say 100% that somebody's not wearing a mask, but by all appearances, those that are, you can see that they are. And so my concern is that they aren't. I know that they're being asked at the gate when they come in if they have a mask, and if they don't have a mask, they're given a mask. But if they don't put it on, and if we don't monitor that they're wearing it, then what's the point? So it concerns me. So, you know, I'm just asking for your feedback on that. I mean, just discussion.
I mean, I'm out in public, and there are people that wear masks. There are people that do not wear masks. We had an older gentleman, and I believe it was his son that brought him. And I know he spoke with, I was standing there. I don't know if Kari was there or Kathy Mack, who is retired now, but she was a public health nurse for many years, had indicated, you know, restricted breathing if he has to have a mask. It's hard for him to walk, and so on and so forth. You know, as an example, I think if I'm in and around the community as much as I am, to me it appears as though there's more people wearing masks at River City Speedway than at other organizations. And so obviously, you know, we request that if they're in their pit area. We announce masks throughout the PA all night long, and we talk about social distancing. We have 12 3x5 signs clearly marked with other printed copies, hand sanitizer. Quite frankly, I think if you compared the fairgrounds and River City Speedway with a lot of other organizations that are actually opened up now currently, we're doing a much better job than other organizations in terms of CDC guidelines and such. And so I guess those are my comments. You know, there was 3 different motions today. You know, the horse people, the go-karts, max of 300 for a smaller venue. Masks with the horses.
They don't have to.
Looking, you know, we're trying to do our level best, and I know you guys are as well. I don't know where we go with this. I know I came across a study about asymptomatic and whether asymptomatic people are even contagious or not. I talked to a nurse practitioner who alluded to that study that's coming out now, and we maybe all haven't heard about it. And so that's why it's fluid. Situations change from one day to the next, so on and so forth.
Thank you, I appreciate the comments, but I needed to share that with you because it is a concern, and it seems to me that I don't have the agreement or the plan that we had here in place, but I thought that it said everybody will wear masks, and then Lon does a wonderful job on when he goes on Facebook saying face masks are mandatory, and so.
I mean, we're doing a plan.
Yes, sir.
And I would challenge commissioners to look in those different areas within the communities of the communities that you're at. I know there's some that are in smaller communities. I mean, bless his soul, Cody Holte today, there were some 5,000 people in the Rolf Ingolstadt Arena in terms of a large gathering. We want to honor him in his passing, his end of watch on March 27th. I've been in, the grocery stores many times. I've been in Menards, I've been in Lowe's, I've been in quite a few larger buildings with lots of people. Swimming pools are going to be opening up soon. I just would appreciate the consideration to open at 1200. Commissioner Peach's motion, and we're going to continue to do our level best to represent the greater Grand Forks area, the racing community, and all of us in a manner that is as safe as possible. And I'm proud to be affiliated and associated with the racing community in River City Speedway, and I think we've done a remarkable job considering what has been asked of us. So I would hope that there would be consideration at 1200 in the grandstand.
Right, and I don't think that there's a commissioner that's sitting on this board that doesn't see the nice, the plan that you put together and covering all the bases and working with you and things like that. That's where we're on two separate things. We recognize that, we appreciate it, we want you to be successful. But again, as I said before, the health and safety of the public is first and foremost for us. And so, and with the plans that we approved today, those are within basically the guideline limits. And so, what you're asking for or what's been, the motion that's been made far exceeds that.
But
I present that, go ahead. I would
outdoor
say-
venue versus indoor venue, there's not clarification from the governor. It is a different scenario. I think we could all agree that it is a different scenario than being in a building with four walls, a floor, and a ceiling. Back to challenging the commission to consider the fact that it is an outdoor venue. When we got together on that Thursday, and there was many public health officials, and there was a couple of commissioners there, along with River City Speedway staff and such. I know one of the public health officials had indicated how, and I think I touched on it last time we were on the conference call, how in fact she was excited about the fact that it is an outdoor venue. And so, I just wish that and hope that you would consider Commissioner Peach's motion.
Right.
For 1200 in the grandstand, and then we can utilize Carrie and having her come in and reporting on how things are going. I don't know.
So,
Madam Chair?
so, yes, ma'am.
You know, when we're looking at the 1,200, the proposal I made, we're talking about 20%. We're not talking about 50% or 80% of that facility. We're talking about 20%. And that's if it's at the max. I'm not saying that every time we're going to be dealing with 1,200 people coming into the Speedway, but at least if they have the opportunity to get there, I'm just hoping that it could be more successful. I don't feel that 1,200 people, they're not all going to gather together. They're going to space themselves out. I believe our sheriff's department, Kari, individuals from, you know, from a nursing background, from public health, they're going to do the best they can to make sure that people are safe. And by wearing masks and doing social distancing, 20% across the facility is not huge. And so that's why I came up with the 1,200.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But another thing I just want to say is that I was at that funeral today, and I was really disappointed to see the number of people that were there without masks. And so, but that's neither here nor there. But I recognize what you're saying, that some people are, some people aren't. With respect to the, you know, we keep going back to this, is that you're an outdoor venue and the governor only speaks about indoor venues. That's the only guidance that we've had, and that's what we've used consistently through this, is that it speaks to both until we have something that says anything different. And with respect to outdoor things, I mean, like that Cats fishing tournament. Now they've canceled that because of COVID. That's all outdoors. There's the city's got functions they've canceled, which are outdoors. So I mean, it isn't like it's just us, you know, that is. It's a problem. And another thing I think is a problem, and I'm just going to share this, is that many of the individuals that come to the races are vulnerable adults. And they're being potentially exposed, because there's a lot of people that are a little bit older that come there, you know, we don't know what their medical conditions are. You know, if they're diabetic, whatever, you know, there's just so many unknowns there. And I just don't want to, I have a difficult time because I don't want an outbreak to happen there and it's traced back to the river cities.
So this
Madam
is
Chair.
Brad saying with River City Speedway, what are you saying about our fans?
I'm sorry, what, Brad?
What were you saying about our fans?
I'm just saying that there's a lot of vulnerable, we're looking at the health and the welfare of people, but there's a lot of vulnerable adults that are also coming to the Speedway.
What does that mean though?
Well, that means that you have people that are coming there, they're not wearing masks, or there's people in your crowd that aren't wearing masks. And so, you know, if they are people that don't have symptoms or whatever, you've got vulnerable adults that are sitting right there in that same area that could be contacting the virus.
Madam Chair, I would just like to say, you know, there's 5 sets of bleachers out there at the racetrack, including the main grandstand. It is so large. 20% is nothing. Social distancing can be done out there very easily with 1,200 people. And I agree with Commissioner Peach that should not be an issue out there. I think if the mask thing is monitored a little closer, I mean, it can be done. So that's all I got to say.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is Dave.
Yes, sir.
Comment on the situation in Lowe's and all these other stores. The governor was asked specifically about that, and what he said was that in a retail store, and when you come up to the checkout for a 2 or 3 or 4 minute contact with the checkout, if the checkout's wearing a mask and you are, that's a very short time. Racing or street fairs or all these other things are lengthy periods of time, and that's dangerous. He also said, and what about somebody who goes to the raceway and then goes to work at a nursing home? Those are the kinds of risks, folks, that we on the commission have to at least think about, because you never know where it's going to come from. And that's why I want to see racing succeed, and I believe that it can be done safely now, but I don't apologize for the fact that we're taking this slow. And I guess I will, I was also a little upset when I heard that the governor was told that we on the commission had recanted our decision when two commissioners and the public health and emergency services were on the racetrack. I would have liked to be there, but I could not be there that day. There could be no decision made out there to approve because there was a fact-finding mission. So we didn't recant any decision. We made a decision, and you know, I think it was, I hated to do it, but I thought we had to at the time. So just to correct the record on what indoor or outdoor venue versus Lowe's or whatever, I know it's a lot easier and safer outdoors than in, but comparing it to just a short contact in the retail store isn't the same thing. And he said so.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Tom?
and I don't want to belabor it because I think we need to go on, but I was prepared to support some increase in the number, but you know, 1,200 is just too big for me. You know, maybe in July, if our health numbers are good, it would be easier for me, but I'm not going to support the motion to 1,200 just because it's too big a number right now. Something less I would have, but.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, that's all, thanks.
Yep, thank you. Any other comments?
Well, Madam Chair, I was thinking along the same lines. I was expecting a request for 900. I saw Kari's comment about 900 to 1,000, and I was prepared today to come in and support 1,000. That's where I fit.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Edit.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve raising the attendance level at Grand Cities Speedway.
River City Speedway?
I'm sorry, Darren, River City. And to 1,200 max. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Was that, okay, was Cindy, what was your aye?
I was for the motion.
Okay, so we had 2 for, 3 against, opposed. So does anyone else want to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we support River City Speedway racing with a maximum of 1,000 people in the stand.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to raise River City maximum for attendance in the stands. Now, are you talking in the stands or are you talking at the races? Total?
In the stands.
So we're gonna have 1,000
Well, wait.
We're gonna have 1,000.
Wait.
Yes. Who said wait?
Tom, I just want to clarify, 1,000 in the stands, how many other people are we talking about?
That's why I asked about that, because that,
Excellent.
you're talking 1,000 in the stands and you're talking then all your crews, your workers, you're gonna get another, probably, I don't know, Darren, what, 250? 200?
150 to 100 maybe, but that's 2.5 blocks away.
I know, but they're all at we just need to have clarification on that, so, but right now, the motion is River City max 1,000 people in the stands. And so, we have a motion and a second.
Well, and Madam Chair, you know, those individuals that are in the pits aren't going to have any contact with the people in the stands.
Well, but I'm not going to argue the point. Technically, yes, they could, but whatever. We're at 1,000 in the stands. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So we have, how many are opposed? How many are for the thousands in the stand?
This is Cindy, I'm for.
Okay.
Bob, I'm for.
David?
Yeah.
Tom, this is Tom. I agree. Give it a try.
Okay, so,
That's
that's everybody. So motion passed. So effective this Friday, then we're looking at 1,000 in the stands.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
it's another 2 weeks till we have another meeting. We may have no cases between now and then. Who knows? We will continue to address this, in my view.
Yes,
And
I agree.
maybe we can change this going forward.
I would agree.
What do we think?
This is Brad with River City Speedway, and just to follow up with what you just said, and I appreciate you looking out for us. So could we possibly put this on the agenda in 2 weeks so we can look at it again?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
you know, before I would want to look at this again, I would want to see more testing in our community. If the governor's goal is to get 4,000 tests a day in North Dakota, we're not reaching that. We're in anywhere from 1,600 to maybe 2,400. But I would want to see some tests of the public in Grand Forks County. And, you know, if we're doing well, then fine. But if we're only able to test the nursing homes right now, that's not telling us a lot.
Well, it would seem to me that 1,000 in the stands for the month of June, you know, until we get some numbers again, or we see what the results of testing are. So we can see if there's any ramifications that come with this. You know, I mean, if we say 1,000 this Friday, you know, it's going to be 14 days or longer before we're ever even going to see cases pop up. So I think we need more time, you know, at least a month or whatever, and take a look and see where we are.
Well, I think we could have something in 2 weeks. We should be able to know if there's more or less cases in a couple of weeks by the next commission meeting. I would think.
Commissioner Ross, I think what the Chairman Knopf is saying is that it takes 2 weeks for this virus to actually manifest
Yeah, I know
itself.
it's 14
And
days.
so
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, we're not going to be seeing those results yet. It'll be after that.
This is Darren with River City Speedway. I don't know, because the situation is fluid, you know, I've heard folks, you know, talk about week to week, you know, maybe it's 2 weeks to 2 weeks, it looks like. Why I would have heard to be on the agenda to talk about how things went, how things are going, so on and so forth, I guess, with, just a thought.
And that's fine. We can put you on the agenda for 2 weeks from now, and that will be just fine. You can give us an update at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Highway Department.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Mr. West contacted me and he is unable to attend this meeting and he asked that I would request approval of
The road
the
miles.
biennial county township road mileage certification.
And so did everyone get a copy of that?
Yep.
Okay, and so I don't see any problems with that one is we don't have anybody to ask any questions of, so
He said
I think
it
it's
is
pretty
a formality.
straightforward.
it's a formality. We do it every year, I believe. And so if you want to, someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the biennial county township road mileage certificate.
Okay, and do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second, Dave.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. All right, Finance and Tax Director.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I just wanted to give you an update on how it's going with the vote by mail election. We've sent out
I
16,200.
can't hear you, Debbie.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I couldn't hear there for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have sent out 16,292 ballots. We've received back 8,490 ballots. So we're at 52%. It's a little low, but not bad. But I anticipate we will be getting thousands of ballots in the next 6 days. So, and tomorrow we will start out at the Alara Center opening the ballots. I'll be out there at 8 o'clock along with 40 judges. And we will start the process of opening those ballots. We'll work 8 to noon tomorrow, see what we get done and see what we have yet to do. We will be working this weekend to process all our ballots with the anticipation that we could get 2,000 ballots in on election day in our ballot box up until 4 o'clock. And so we will have a large number to process on election day yet. So we want to make sure that we get it all done prior to election day. So we get our result on election day and not the next day. So the largest total we've ever had in a primary is June 2012. We had 16,164. I don't know if we'll get there, but we'll be close for the June 2020 election. Are there any questions? All right, that's all I have.
Okay. And Director of Administration, Mr. Ford.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Madam Chair, members of the commission, good afternoon. I'll start with some change order requests from ICS pertaining to the parking ramp. Originally, I had sent the board in your packet 4 change orders from ICS. And those are additional joints to be repaired, additional concrete removal and patching, concrete deck repair, which required extra steel reinforcement, drain pipe replacement and repair. And those change orders totaled out to be $54,470. Now, since this meeting started, I received an email from Mr. Johnson from 82S that they found more problems with the ramp. And they're submitting 2 more change orders. And so what I'll do, Madam Chair, I'll defer to your wishes, the board's wishes. I can proceed with the 4 change orders that you received in your packet. And then we can wait on the 2 change orders for the next meeting, or I can include the 2 change orders. And just for your information, the 2 additional change orders are 108 more locations that need to be welded and reinforced in the joint, and 110 patching of steel And so my recommendation to the board is to include those two, to be 6 instead of 4, because especially the welding of the joints needs to get done probably sooner than later. So if we included the 2 additional change orders, ma'am, the total I'd be asking for today from capital improvements would be $64,240. But I'll defer to what the board wishes are on how to handle the change orders.
Okay, does anyone have any questions of Mr. Ford?
Madam Chair, for Debbie, where does it come from? Was this anticipated? How much leeway do we have, et cetera?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Ingen, it would come from capital improvements. We do have a balance in capital improvements that it would be paid from. It was not an anticipated cost, not a budgeted cost, but we do have money left in our capital improvements budget.
Yeah, no, these are change orders, so they are unanticipated issues. I talked with Mr. Grishevsky today, and he spoke with ICS and AE2S about these impending change orders, or these change orders were incurring. And some of the problems is the site inspections were done in the winter. So there was snow, there was ice, etc. And so now as ICS is well into the project, they're finding more issues. And we anticipated some of these. But what we're finding out is it's a 20-year-old ramp. It's never been touched for repairs of this significance. And, you know, it's 20 years of a ramp sitting in the elements. And Commissioner Ingen, either we repair them or we don't, I guess we block off those sections of the parking ramp is what I'm trying to say.
Madam Chair, Tom here.
Yes, Tom.
Yes, this entire project was originally approved out of capital improvements, and we did cut back on some projects and capital improvements, so there should be money there. Now, unfortunately, we're spending some down the road as far as remodeling in our building because of COVID-19, but if we're lucky, we'll be able to recover some of those costs. Either way, this I think we can handle pretty easily. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the 6 change orders with the amount Mr. Ford indicated, and we move on.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'm going to be full of good news today. I received a phone call from Mr. Grishevsky this morning that our network automatic engine failed on us. And what that is it's think of it as the motherboard for Johnson Controls for our HVAC system, temperature regulation, etc. And without it, there isn't a system that's talking to our HVAC systems, cooling, heating, etc. And I guess it's the nerve center, if you will, of all of this. And it failed. And it has to be replaced. The cost will be $14,355 to replace it. And luckily, there is one on hand, and it could be installed as soon as tomorrow. It's pricey, but it's just a required thing we have to have to control our systems in the building. So I'd be asking for the board's approval for the $14,355 so that we can have that nerve engine replaced, network engine replaced.
Okay, Commissioners, you've heard the request?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I do have a question. Debbie, would this come out of general fund or would this come out of buildings and repairs?
I believe we'll take it out of capital improvements.
Capital improvement?
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Peach, this would not have been a budgeted expense out of repairs. So that's why I need to have it taken somewhere else, like capital improvements, ma'am.
Well, I would move approval of that motion. I don't think we can get around it.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would second that motion and hope we can move on because the longer we are in session, Mr. Ford is spending money pretty dramatically for us.
Yes, I know.
I'm not done, sir.
I'm afraid of that, yeah. So I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second then to approve, what was it, $14,355?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, motion in a second. I'm sorry, I lost it there for a minute. Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you. The third item, I just want to bring the board up to speed on the recovery team's efforts and ICON's assessment. And I had sent you all that email in advance, so I won't get into the weeds too much unless there's questions. But as you're aware, the board is aware, for some time, many department heads have been conveying concerns about risk management, safety issues for their employees, especially in a changing environment. And when we commissioned ICON to sit down with some of the department heads about preparing the COB for a post-pandemic workplace, those conversations also led into more of the security concerns that our departments are facing and seeing. And so the ICON assessment, which I sent the board, really includes two different things. It includes security upgrades and risk management, risk mitigation changes. And it also includes changes to address COVID in the post-pandemic world, workplace. I need direction from the board on which way to proceed. I spoke with Becky from ICON yesterday as they need direction from us, from the county, which way to proceed. Because if we go safety, that's going to actually incur some significant costs and some structural changes, and you need architects involved. But if we go just COVID, that's a lot simpler. However, why I'm looking for direction is we're kind of at a fork in the road where we need to start making some changes in the COB regardless of how we proceed from here. And this is, since I've been at the county, these security measures, changes, requests by department heads have come up now for at least the fourth time. So they're not going away. And so my advice, or not my advice, my request to the board is, which direction do you want to proceed? Do you want me to go back to ICON and start pricing out the recommended security risk management options? Or do you want me to just go down the road of COVID-19 changes only? And I say that just to remind the board that the concerns of the department heads, I guess I'm carrying those concerns for my peers today on their behalf. They're not going to go away. They will continue to come back to the board for requests. And some of the department heads who are concerned and are worried for their employees and are asking for these security changes, I know they're in the meeting, on the Zoom meeting today. I asked them to be in case you had questions for them, so they're here as well. But I'm looking for some direction from the board. What are the board's wishes for me to do with ICON? Go down the security route or go down the COVID-19 route only? And I can't get costs yet, Mr. Falk, until I tell ICON which direction we want to go.
Well, Madam Chair, being Mr. Ford's talking to me, who I'm always worried about money, you know, I've heard about these plans before, and the problem really comes down to money, and we're going to have some money issues. We're not, you know, our budget next year is going to be problematic. There's not enough money, I don't believe, in capital improvements to take on the project. You know, when we talk about what the kind of money that went in over in the clerk of court's office, which is a small area, it was very substantial. I can't remember that grant. It was $50,000, $60,000. Well, you multiply that out times the number of departments we have, and some of them are fairly large areas. I don't think we can swing that kind of money right now. But that's why I think we need to find out what the difference in costs are. Now, some of the COVID money might be recoverable according to Mr. Ford, but if we go into, for instance, bulletproof glass, which is pricey, that's going to be on our dime. And the question is, can we write the check? I don't know. Debbie might have to tell us it'll bounce. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair, this is Dave.
Yes, Dave?
We can't make a decision without numbers and facts. I think we should take a look at the whole thing. We have talked about worries with security issues for as long as I've been on the commission, I think. And doesn't mean we have the money to spend, but I think we should find out what it's going to cost. That's my thoughts.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am?
I would agree with Dave. I think it doesn't hurt to see what kind of cost we're talking, and then we can do some planning for the future.
Thank you. So,
Agreed.
I'm sorry, what?
This is Tom. Yeah, I agree with that. I think we have to we have to get the numbers.
Okay. And I think most of the commissioners are in agreement with that. So I would think, Mr. Ford, you could go ahead and look at the whole picture.
Okay, ma'am, I'll go back to Icon and tell them we are interested in going down the full picture just so that we can get costs and see what that looks like and go from there.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. I have one other thing for the board's input direction. And again, I'm looking for direction from the board. Before COVID hit, after Tracy Leon submitted her capital improvements assessment for the county, we had been discussing a new county building for the sheriff's department, for the state's attorney, and for juvenile detention. And the board had directed me to engage with Icon about at least getting the planning set up and done. I had emailed out to the board Icon's renderings and different designs and options. And well aware of again, the budget issues and what we're facing in COVID and uncertainty. And so we saw what the price tag is, maximum $40 million. That's pretty steep. So I think I just want to get some direction from the board on what the board's wishes are. Just knowing and reminding the board that Sheriff Schneider and myself did have a meeting with Mr. Phelan and Chief Nelson about a year ago now. It's amazing how quickly time flies. It was just over a year ago, and they're going through their own capital improvement space study needs. And they very politely said, you know, in about 5 to 6 years, we're going to need that space that the Sheriff's Department is currently in. And so I think they politely put us on notice. And it's already been 1 year. And I don't think that the police department, I don't think Chief Nelson is going to go knocking on Sheriff Schneider's door in 5 years saying, okay, time to leave. But I just don't want us to lose sight of that. I also don't want us to lose sight of juvenile detention is we are continually sinking money into that. And is it worth it? I think the answer is probably not. So anyways, that being said, looking for the board's direction on how to proceed next with Icon's recommendations and renderings. They are more than willing to come before the board and make a presentation and talk through it with you. Or you might want to just wait for now and get through COVID. I don't know, but I just want the board's thoughts and directions on that subject.
Comments from the commission? Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll step up because I like this project a lot. However, in my mind, it's dead in the water at $40 million, particularly now. But I really think we can't make any decisions right now. We just have to sit and wait for 6 months and see what happens here in the economy and with this virus and everything else. But I just don't believe we can come to any kind of a conclusion right now.
Other comments? I just have one comment. How come any of their drawings, their designs, the options, none of them included adding on the west side of that building?
On the west side of the courthouse there?
On the west side of the courthouse. I mean, you would eliminate a lot of costs.
I don't think, I just don't think it was a large enough area to accommodate the footprint that the Sheriff's Department and the Juvenile Detention Center would have needed. Plus, Commissioner Knopf, there was a lot of concern about transportation of juveniles to and from the courthouse and the detention center, as they need to be kept anonymous, if you will. And so that you had to have ease of transport of those juveniles between the new building and the courthouse. So that would have been whether tunneling or a guinea pig tube or something. So it really came down to the required footprint, square footage, and needs of those departments. There just wouldn't have been enough room on the other side. And to continue answering your question, I believe in that area, Commissioner Knopf, sits the HVAC control systems and the electrical grid systems for the courthouse. And so that couldn't be demolished and built over.
Madam Chair, Mr. Ford is right. Actually, the footprint of that building would take almost the entire parking lot, employee parking lot. So it would be a massive footprint compared to where the present building is. And the other factor is, even if that footprint would have worked over there, we would increase our costs, because in order to do that, we'd have to knock that building down to begin with. And all of our juvenile detention people for the next year to 18 months, we'd have to pay to have them housed at Moorhead or someplace else.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, the next item then is State's Attorney. Carmel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thanks for allowing me to speak this afternoon, but we have nothing new to report from the State's Attorney's Office. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Committee report, Sheriff Commissioner Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Had a Metropolitan Planning meeting last week. Talked a lot about the projects that are going to be done this year, and some that were supposed to be done this year have been put off till 2021. So I can give you a detailed report that's probably about 40 pages long, but it's that's all I have. It's just the Metropolitan Planning.
All right. Commissioner Peach?
From the Airport Authority Board, good news. UND is coming back to continue their aviation program. So actually they were coming back yesterday, June 1st. And so there were some planning, some COVID-19 things they were planning so students wouldn't be around each other, scheduling with the instructors, things like that. But that's a positive, because that'll be more enplanements that happen, so that's a good thing. Other than that, that's about all I have to report.
All right, thank you. Mr. Engen?
Nothing new.
Okay, Mr. Falk?
Oh, I sat in on an EDC meeting, which I was just a observer, but nothing new on that either, so it's pretty quiet. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I don't have anything to report either. So Okay, the next item is any unfinished new business, and we don't have anything with that. Correspondence is just a thank you from the Veterans Memorial Park people for the donation, the generous donation that Grand Forks County made towards the Veterans Memorial Park. And I believe if you go there today, you will see that wall and the obelisk should all be up this week. So they have started that. It's been delivered and they're in the process of putting it up. So other than that, anything else to come before the commission?
Madam Chair, I've got a request of Debbie Nelson, and not until after the election, but if you could send me what the balance in capital improvements is, or so I have some idea of where we're at with the money in that, but do it after the election, please. Thank you.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Commissioner,
moved.
I'm sorry, this is Tom Ford. I apologize, ma'am. One thing the board should be aware of, we submitted $142,221 today for CARES Act reimbursement for COVID-19 expenses. I apologize, I forgot to mention that in my report.
How much was that? 142,000?
$221 for reimbursement.
So is that everything to date?
Yes, ma'am, that was from March 1st till May 30th.
All right. Thank you. Anything else? Questions? May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good week.
Bye.